Hello, fight fans. Thanks for joining us at MMA Insider. Before we get rolling with today's news, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing. Now let's uncover the latest happenings in MMA. Starting off, Tony Ferguson sends Michael Chiesa a message ahead of UFC Abu Dhabi showdown. Moving on, Dustin Poirier announces his retirement decision will be made by the end of August. Next, Michael Chandler mocks Conor McGregor after his license is suspended for driving offenses. Lastly, UFC commentator Joe Rogan explains why the Olympics is a giant scam. Tony Ferguson hopes that Michael Chiesa is ready for their UFC Abu Dhabi clash. Tony Ferguson has been out of the octagon since a unanimous decision loss to Paddy Pimblett in December. That defeat at UFC 296 was Tony Ferguson's 7th loss in a row, previously losing to the likes of Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush, and Nate Diaz. 7 months removed from that defeat, the former interim champion will face Michael Chiesa. Michael, much like Tony Ferguson, enters their meeting this Saturday on a losing streak. Michael Chiesa is currently riding a 3-fight losing streak, last suffering a submission loss to Kevin Holland a year ago. Entering the matchup, the welterweight is a heavy favorite over the former interim lightweight champion. However, Tony Ferguson isn't buying into the odds at all. Speaking in a recent interview, Tony Ferguson sent a message to Michael Chiesa. Despite entering the fight with his losing streak, the former champion is confident that he can outwork and out-hustle Michael on Saturday. Here is what he said. "This is mixed martial arts. I'm gonna go in there and outwork you. I'm gonna punch you. You're gonna shoot in. I'm gonna choke you out. Paddy Pimblett, I shouldn't have let him up in our fight. I had too many people telling me the wrong shit. And I know damn well I have the confidence to get to where I need to go. I have nothing against you, Michael Chiesa, but I'm going to bring the fight to you. I'm not going to give you any time to breathe, and I hope your conditioning is really good." For what it's worth, Tony Ferguson could be feeling confident because of his sparring success. Tony recently revealed that he sparred over 100 rounds ahead of his UFC return. What do you make of these comments from Tony Ferguson? Do you believe he will defeat Michael Chiesa in his UFC return? Share your thoughts and comments. Fans will soon have clarity on the future of UFC lightweight Dustin Poirier. Dustin hasn't competed since his 3rd crack at undisputed gold in June. Facing Islam Makhachev in the main event of UFC 302, Dustin made a Herculean effort to try and upset the champion. However, the former interim title holder was submitted in the 5th and final round of the contest. Following the loss, Dustin admitted that the fight could have been his last. The 35-year-old has discussed retirement for a few years now, and it seems that the loss to Makhachev could have made it official. However, Dustin later backtracked a bit. In the weeks since that loss, he's shown interest in multiple fights. That being said, Dustin isn't entirely sure what he will decide to do. Speaking in a recent interview, Dustin was asked about retiring from fighting. There he admitted that he hadn't yet made a decision. However, Dustin also admitted that he expects to make a decision soon. In fact, Dustin gave himself a self-imposed date to figure out his retirement. Speaking in the interview, the longtime UFC lightweight contender stated that he will make a decision within the next 30 days. While Dustin isn't entirely set on either decision, he did acknowledge that there's not a whole lot left for him to do. Here is what he said. "Me and my wife said to each other, when we get back from vacation, we will decide. Obviously, you're drinking and eating whatever you want on vacation, so we'll clean it up. I'll go 30 days August and just make a decision after that. Get in shape, see how I feel, and we'll see, man. I don't know what I'll do. I need to make a solid decision so I can get myself out of the limbo. I'm still kind of fighting myself every day, not sure what I'm doing. I'm supposed to have surgery on my nose in October, but if I made a decision or something popped up, I can push it back or whatever. I'm just thinking, who is there for me to fight?" What do you make of these comments from the UFC lightweight? Do you want to see Dustin continue fighting? Share your thoughts in comments. Michael Chandler has mocked former UFC champion Conor McGregor after a recent report about the Irishman. Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor were set to collide at UFC 303 last month in Las Vegas. The bout was set to take place after a year of build-up and a season coaching The Ultimate Fighter. However, just 2 weeks before the event, Conor McGregor withdrew due to a broken toe. As a result, Michael Chandler was pulled from the event as well. As of now, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler hasn't been rebooked. However, that hasn't stopped the two lightweight stars from continuing to go back and forth with each other. Earlier today, Conor McGregor gave his rival some new ammo to his rival for his verbal assaults. As reported by RTE News, the Irishman has had his license suspended for 2 years. The courts made the decision, due to Conor McGregor having an appalling series of dangerous driving incidents. Along with the suspended license, the former UFC champion was handed a small fine. While the offenses aren't major, that hasn't stopped Michael Chandler from mocking him on X. In a post, the former Bellator star cracked a joke about the situation. For what it's worth, this minor legal issue won't impact Conor McGregor's return to the cage. Earlier this month, the former two-weight UFC champion revealed that his broken toe has already healed. Furthermore, McGregor has called for a return to the cage as soon as September. However, it's far more likely that the two will compete in December. According to multiple reports, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler is being eyed for the last UFC pay-per-view of the year in Las Vegas. Earlier today, Michael Chandler lent credence to the rumors by posting a fan poster of the two for December. Regardless, it seems that Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler is full steam ahead for later this year. While the former Bellator champion teased a fight against Max Holloway earlier this summer, Max is reportedly booked against Ilia Topuria for October. With that, his attention is now fully on McGregor. Do you think a fight between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will ever happen? Who do you think would win in that fight? Share your thoughts in the comments. UFC commentator Joe Rogan has explained why he isn't the biggest fan of the Olympic Games. As we know, the 2024 Summer Olympics are currently ongoing in Paris, France. There are some incredible athletes taking part in some marvelous events as fans from around the globe gather to watch it all unfold. Of course, not everyone is a massive fan of the Games, including the aforementioned Joe Rogan. It's no secret that Rogan is an opinionated guy. In the last few years, in particular, he seems to have taken things to another level. From conspiracy theories to intriguing debates on his podcast, he isn't afraid to make some noise and ruffle some feathers. During a recent episode, he spoke candidly about the Olympics and his big problem. Here is what he said. The Olympics is a giant scam. There are two things going on simultaneously, okay? You have the best athletes in the world participating in their disciplines. And then on top of that, you have enormous amounts of money being made, and none of it's going to the athletes. It is a giant scam. So the kind of people that are putting together that ridiculous ceremony, we got a bunch of drag queens in the Last Supper that nobody understands because it's not made by athletes, it's not made by the Olympics, it's made by the people that are in charge of putting the Olympics out. So they're the ones who are reaping all the money and sucking all the cash out of these athletes. Based on Joe Rogan's comments about the Olympics being a giant scam, could you elaborate on how he believes the commercialization of the Games detracts from the athletes' achievements? Specifically, how does Rogan argue that the substantial profits generated by the Olympics are not benefiting the athletes themselves? And what does he suggest about the role of those organizing the ceremonies in this dynamic? Additionally, how does Rogan's critique reflect on the broader issue of commercialization and profit in sports and entertainment? Let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Your dedication and support fuel our passion to bring you the latest and greatest in the MMA world. If you enjoyed today's news, please give us a thumbs up and share it with fellow MMA fans. Remember to subscribe to stay in the loop with daily MMA updates. We've got a lot of exciting news, interviews, and analysis coming your way every single day. Your engagement helps us grow and serve the MMA community even better. Once again, thank you for being an integral part of our daily MMA journey.